Welcome to We Signed Off for This Race Review Podcast with Matt and
Sue.
So on this episode, we are going to review the United Airlines New York City Half Marathon.
Yep, I'm very excited. It is coming up on March 15th. It will be my fourth time in person running it. Matt, what time will it be for you running it?
Zero. This is a race I really would like to do, but unfortunately, I've been rejected multiple times on the lottery. But we'll get into that as we get into this episode. Yeah. But it's definitely one of my favorite races to spectate, and we'll talk about that also. Yeah. So, Sue, why don't you tell us about this race? Some cool facts about it and everything.
Well, I learned that last year it became the largest half marathon in America. It had,
28,600 finishers.
Yep. Which is crazy. It's now like the spring marquee race from the New York Roadrunners. It's held, every year now in March.
Which is kind of interesting because it is a relatively newer race. It started in 2006.
Interesting.
Yeah, and when it first started, the course was very different than what it was now. It started in Central Park, ran down to Lower Manhattan, and it was ran in the summer.
I remember that.
And then around 2014, they changed the course to what it is now, where it starts at Prospect Park and finishes in Central Park.
Yep. And that's the only times I've run it is when we have started in Brooklyn and then ended up in Central Park. And important to note that it is a point-to-point race. You will not turn around halfway. So don't, leave anything or your cars at the start thinking that you're going to finish there because you don't even finish in the same borough. But it is definitely a pretty cool race. It's probably one of my favorite events. It holds super meaning to me because in 2021, the race went virtual. And if you signed up for the virtual New York City Half, and logged the 13.1 miles, you had guaranteed entry for 2022. So that was actually the first time in my life that I've ever run 13.1 miles. And a bunch of us from our local run club, we got together. We were training for it. We all met up at a park by my house in Long Island. We ran down to Jones Beach, circled around, came back for that 13.1. And so that was the longest distance in 2021 that I'd ever run in my life, again, as a newer runner. So that was my first time tackling this distance. So I think the New York City Half will always have a special place in my heart because of what the significance of that race was.
That's pretty cool. Now, just so people know, this is a very hard race to get into. Mm-hmm. Like we said, it's 28,000 finish. I don't even know how many every year apply, but there's basically 4 ways you can get into the race. One of them, as we said, is the lottery, which I'm very unlucky at, but you were very lucky in the lottery multiple times, right?
I've been lucky. So as I said before, that first one for 2022, which was my first in-person New York City Half, because I had guaranteed entry from the year prior from running the virtual. But then in 2024, I won the lottery again. That one I won on that. The New York Roadrunners has something where if you're a New York Roadrunner member, you can it's a second chance drawing. So I actually didn't get it the first time, but then they put runners in for a second chance at getting the lotto. So I won it through that member second chance lotto, which was awesome. And then in 2025, I just won it straight lotto. And then I was actually super shocked to find out that for 2026, I also won for lotto. And unfortunately, Matt did not get any of those, which at this point, I think is just funny. I'm like, there's no way. I feel like I could be playing some other lotto and winning big, but I'm not that lucky. But I do feel lucky to have, now won this lotto 3 times because it's such a cool experience.
I wouldn't know. But there are other ways you can get into this race. The New York Roadrunners has a 4 out of 6 qualification. Yep. So there are 6 races: the New York Roadrunners Manhattan 10K, the New York City Half, the Brooklyn Half, Queens 10K, Staten Island Half, And the Bronx 10 Mile, if you do 4 of those 6 races in one calendar year, you're guaranteed entry for the following year.
Yeah, and for that, so for people who don't know, if you're not familiar with the way some of those programs, and the marathon has the 9+1, which means you have to run 9 of the qualifying races and volunteer at one of them. The 4 out of 6 is a pretty good one to do because with the exception of the, which ironically, like the New York City Half counts for the New York City Half for the following year, because I always get that one, checked off for the next couple of years. But then the Brooklyn Half also is by lotto. So that's another one that you can't just sign up for. But I believe if you get the other ones early enough, like when they first open, and again, a lot of times if you're a New York Road Runner member, you'll have first access at some of those. And then now they have those member second drawings. So some of those other ones, when the registration does open, you can get into them. And I know like with the Bronx 10, which is one of our favorite New York Road Runner races.
Fun race.
And then I know the Staten Island is held a little bit after them, but the registration for them opens up many months beforehand. So you do have to plan and have a strategy. A lot of our friends that will do a 9+1 either for the marathon or the 4 of 6 for the New York City Half, they plan the year out so that when those races first open, I think in December for some of them for the following year, you can get in on them right away.
And the New York Roadrunners races are very popular, and they do sell out very, very quickly.
Yeah.
But if you don't get into the lottery,
yep,
you don't get in through the 4 out of 6. If you're a faster runner, you can qualify with some qualifying times.
Yeah, you can time qualify.
But those vary based on your age and your gender.
Yeah, you have to be super fast.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times I think some of the faster times, depending on your age, is an hour and 20 minutes and so forth. But the other way that you can get in through is through one of the New York Roadrunners official charity partners.
Yep.
And they have some wonderful charities that raise money for some great real charities.
Yep.
So
Team for Kids is a great one. I know I've run with Fred's team before, through MSK, also a great one, even though you have to, wear orange, and I don't really love orange, but running for them was great.
Oh, that's cool. All right, Sue, so tell us about the expo.
Yeah. So the expo is normally just held at a location in the city. It's usually a smaller expo compared to the way the New York City Marathon is, but larger than like most of your other races, right? So if you've never run one of these really large races, and you're not, you used to be able to show up in the morning, grab your bib and then start racing. That is not the case for the New York City Half. And again, as Matt said, this is now the largest half marathon. So you do have to pick up your bib earlier in the week, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Mm-hmm. You do have to go into your app and pick your day and time that you are going to pick up your bib.
So what happens if something comes up and you miss that time?
Yeah, so usually it's not that I mean, they'll probably say it differently, but it's not that strict with it. I've been late leaving work and I missed like my time slot and I got there like an hour later and it was fine. They let me in, but they do just try to ensure that the traffic is flowing well. Again, with getting that many people through an expo, picking up a bib, picking up your shirt, they want to be able to try to, I guess, control it as best they can from that.
And this year's expo is in a new location because, again, this is getting a larger race. They moved the expo to the Javits Center, where is the same location for the New York City Marathon. So I know Sue's very excited for that.
I am very excited for that because I love a big expo. So I'm hoping with the move to the Javits Center, I'm hoping they make good use of that huge space and throw some more vendors in there. Let me spend some more money. And
take my money.
Because it is like Disneyland, like these expos, like you walk in, you get your bib, usually is first, then they corral you to where you go pick up your shirts, and then when you walk out, usually the first vendor you see is whoever the title sponsor is, and again, it's like a Disneyland ride, right? So that after the ride, you're going to the gift shop. that's basically the gift shop. And then you can walk through the rest of the expo, but the only way to like get out is to walk past vendors. And if it's one thing I think that runners love is new gear or checking out new gels or checking out new merch from the race. You know, because one can never have too many hats that say New York City Half or socks. The socks are my favorite. The New Balance socks. I love these New Balance socks. I do love socks. And I genuinely like the New York City Half logo. I tend to have a lot of the stuff from the merch just because they do a good job with the designs and
that's awesome.
I like them. Yep.
Now, I know with like some local races, you can say like one person pick up multiple bibs. Yeah. Can you do that with this?
Yes. So surprisingly, yes, the New York Roadrunners does allow you to do that for this race. I don't know if they do I don't think they do for the marathon. But for this race and for some of the other smaller races, you now have a QR code, which is in your app that's tied to you, the runner, not necessarily you, the race. So as long as your friend or family member has that, and then in the past, I've had to give friends a screenshot of or a picture of my license just to prove that I am saying yes, pick up my bib for me. And they do allow that unless that's changed now with the Javits Center and the size of the field. But in the past, yes, we've been able to do that.
I will say, you know, running multiple New York Roadrunners races through the years, they do, in my opinion, an incredible job for the volume of people that come in and race. It's very efficient.
Oh, yeah.
And I would say is anytime you run any New York Roadrunner race, check their website, the dashboard.
Lots of information. Read the athlete's guide.
Yeah, they do it world class with that stuff.
Yeah. And sometimes even like leading up to the events, they'll have, I know they do this for the marathon a lot, but they'll have like little like videos online or interviews or course strategy and things like that leading up to it. There's a whole like excitement in the city, I feel like, leading up to race week where it's not just that one and done event. And especially when the expo starts. And then once we see our friends start posting that they went to the expo, I'm like a person that has to go to the expo on the first day. If not, my anxiety will be so high because every day I'm like, oh my gosh, they're going to sell out of this or they're going to sell out of that. Or, oh my gosh, everyone went and I don't have my stuff yet. So listen, and if you're traveling in, it is totally fine to go on that last day. They do replenish the stuff. Typically, I believe in the mornings. But my anxiety can't like take it. I think there was once where I couldn't go that first day and I had to go to the second day. And then this year I was all excited. I'm like, I'm going to go. I have to be in the city for something else on a Wednesday. And I was so excited because I'm going to literally be right by Penn Station, which is right by the Javits Center. And then I realized the expo doesn't start till Thursday. So I'm going to have to go to the city twice, which is totally fine. But I would have really liked to have gone on a Wednesday and get my stuff. But yeah.
All right. That's awesome. All right.
Awesome.
Well, you know, listen, I'm not.
Listen, don't be jelly over here that you haven't gotten to run this race. Your time will come.
Yeah. Also, you get into the expo. You like that stuff.
I do like the expos.
To me, the best expos are the ones you can get in, get your bib, and get out. I'm not a shopper. I don't get caught up in all that. Right. So it's your thing. You love that.
I like seeing cool stuff.
I mean, it's not that, you've been notorious for going back to an expo a third time in some of our races.
I have.
So, yes.
I did at Disney too. You weren't even there, and I went to Disney twice.
All right, that's for another episode.
That is for another episode.
All right, tell us about getting to the start.
Getting to the start. Starts in Brooklyn. It starts in Prospect Park, which is also where the Brooklyn Half starts as well. And it's massive. So whatever time you think you need, plan more times. They do have corral starts. So if you're not familiar with these larger races, it's not they're going to get, 28,000 people all lined up, do a starting gun and everyone's just going to start trampling over each other. So they do spread it out. I believe this year was 3 corrals.
3 waves.
I mean, 3 waves. In each wave, there are corrals. So you'll have like wave 1 and then like A, B, C, D, sometimes all the way. Like I've been like O at some points. I think at the Bronx, remember the Bronx 10? I was like all the way back. Like there was like H. I don't know. I was like way far down.
It sounds more complicated than it really is. When you get there, everything's labeled and it really is efficient.
Yep.
It's just, they do it, like I said before, it is a very efficient system to get all these people through so that no matter what pace you're running, you're not feeling overly crowded. It is spread out.
Yeah.
So, and again, all that information will be given to you prior to the race. They'll assign you a wave and a corral so you know where to go. It's all labeled.
Yep. And your bib will have all that information as well as the app. So they release that generally a few days, I want to say before, of like, maybe like a week or so before, you will know that information so that when you pick up your bib at the expo, you will get the correct color bib for your wave, and then you will get a letter affixed to your bib to know what corral in that wave you go. Now, I will say, if you are in like D or E, they drop the rope right when it starts. You can very easily get up to the A. But again, that they're all starting at that same time. So you don't feel pressured. You have to run to A. Don't get sad that you're not in A. I was in the end of one wave one time, and I dropped back to be the first of the A. It doesn't matter. None of that matters.
It's chip time.
It's chip time. So, sometimes with if there's more waves, you're starting later in the day, like with the marathon, sometimes you're starting at like 11:15 in the morning. But you still have to be there so early, so you don't even get the benefit of sleeping later. But whatever time you think you need to get in there to check a bag, which we'll talk about, and then get through security, and then get to find where your wave start is or your corral is. Just plan a lot of time. There's multiple different entries of the park. Sometimes the streets around it are closed down, so you do have to walk a little bit to get up to that park. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, like, there's the 3 waves.
Yep.
And each wave has a different location to come in, and they're labeled. And they start off, if you're in wave 1, first corral, they open up at 6:10.
Yep.
And so get there early.
And you can go into the park, even if you're not a wave oneer. You can sit there from 6:10 on if you want.
And I will also say, like, with any really big race of 20,000 people, be very mindful of the race before the race. And don't
never race before the race.
Yeah, because you're going to get there, 6 in the morning, and then you start in one of the last corrals like 8 o'clock. So you have almost 2 hours before your race. So just be mindful of that.
Yeah, but then you'll also have time to wait on porta potty lines. You'll have time to check your bag. You do have to check your bag. So you will get a bag at the expo when you pick up your bib. If you are going to check a bag, that is the bag you have to use. You will affix the bottom part of your race bib, which will have your number on it, to that bag. Put all your stuff that you want in it, but then you have to check that bag before you actually even go through security into the park. So the bag check is outside of the park. They have those UPS trucks outside. It's awesome. They do a great job. And then once you leave, those trucks take your stuff to the finish line. So they'll be waiting there for you. But anything you want, like right before the race. So what I always do is I make my whole bag check. I tie it all up. I give it to the UPS truck. Then I walk through security. Then once I'm going through security for the park, I have a little like shopping bag that I can throw away with like my first gel that I'm going to take, my water bottle that I'm going to want for the start. And there's some clear guidelines of things that you can and can't have, right? Like you can't wear one of those hydration vests with a bladder built into it, things like that, for security reasons. But it tells you what you can bring in. But sometimes I'll bring a bagel because if I'm going to be there hours earlier. I'm lucky that I take a bus with my local, the North American runners here. We always charter a bus and it drives us to the start. But we have wave 1 runners. I am not a wave 1 runner. So I know I'm going to be there for a while. So I bring like extra food or snacks or drinks, things that I think I'm going to want. That stuff you can bring with you to the park. But then you have to throw that all away. So your bag check, again, you leave your bag beforehand. So sometimes people will bring portable chargers and then think that they can put the portable charger in their, bag check for the end. But if you're bringing it into the park with you for the start, you won't have access to that bag check.
That is some really important information, but you've glossed over probably the most important information that everyone's really wondering about.
What?
What's the porta potty situation? Listen,
I said going to the porta potties. I said,
are there enough?
Well, okay. So enough is a relative word. Are there a lot of them? Yes. Are there more runners than porta potties? Yes. So there's always going to be a line. I will say they do a pretty good job, with spreading them out. And then sometimes they'll have them by the corrals and sometimes they have them in different areas. Listen, they definitely order a lot of porta potties, but just the sheer amount of people that are going to be there, there's always people that are going to be waiting online. Again, going back to that, don't race before the race. Get there early enough, then it doesn't matter if you're waiting online to use a porta potty.
It's always good advice.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So tell us about the course.
Yeah. So the course is actually probably one of my favorites. And not just because of the sentimental value that I hold to this race. But again, you do start in Brooklyn. I like Brooklyn, so I like starting in Brooklyn. Prospect Park is a little hilly, although I was trying to remember back to this one. I feel like it was hillier during the Brooklyn half, so I don't know if we run different parts of it, but Brooklyn is like not flat. So the beginning parts of it is not, it's not a flat, none of this is a flat race. So you get some good elevation throughout the course. I don't love elevation. We live on a very flat island. We're on the south shore of Long Island. There's not a lot of hills in our area. I don't do hill training. I would say Orange Theory when they force me to put some inclines on, I sometimes cover the inclines so that they can't see it. And then they yell at me and then I have to put my incline up because I don't love inclines. I've been trying to do some inclines because I know what's coming. So Brooklyn is a little hilly. And then you go through there for a few miles. But then when you run over the bridge to get to Manhattan, which typically was the Williamsburg Bridge until last year, we got to run over the Brooklyn Bridge, which was so cool. There was construction, so they routed it to the Brooklyn Bridge. And we found out that they are keeping us on that route for this year as well. So anyone that's running it gets to go to the Brooklyn Bridge again.
Little interesting fact about that and why that is so epic is this is the only race ever to run over the Brooklyn Bridge. So that is iconic.
It was so cool. People were stopping and taking photos. We were all kind of like looking at each other going, oh my gosh, and like taking photos, and everyone was stopping. No one cared. I mean, in my wave, the fast wave probably just ran right through it. But in my wave, we were all having such a great time. The elevation, I will say, compared to the other course, seemed higher. I'm sure all the bridges are probably a standard like elevation, or I mean, I guess some are higher than lower.
With any bridge.
Yeah. So and again, I think people were saying that it felt a little bit harder than past ones. Who knows? I don't know. Someone would have to measure it and tell me what the actual elevation is. I just thought from the coolness factor, it was awesome. The one thing I will say, there was no photographers on the Brooklyn Bridge.
That's interesting.
So, which I thought was weird. There was one little spot that I thought maybe, but there wasn't a lot of room. Like there's no room spread out. Okay. So we really were taking a lot of our own photos and doing selfies. And I remember even when I got off the bridge, I then was taking pictures of the runners up at the top just because it was so cool. And knowing that we were the first like pedestrians to run a race across this bridge, like not on the walkway part, where you can walk on it. We were in the middle where the cars go. Which is
also pretty cool. I know I've walked and I've ran across the Brooklyn Bridge. Yeah. Even then, it's really cool. It's cool.
It's really cool. It's definitely, for that reason alone is worth it. But I still think, so then once you get off the bridge, whatever bridge it is, but this year, again, it's going to be back on the Brooklyn Bridge. Once you get off, they route you over to the FDR. And one of my friends told me very early on, probably the first or second time I ran this race, said, once you get on FDR, the sun's going to come out and you're going to get hot. Now, mind you, it's March, right? And it's March in New York, and it's usually, it could be cold, it could be hot, it could be rainy, it could be snowy. Who knows what you're going to get in March. But I'm like, it's freezing and I'm always cold. I'm always raining. I get to the FDR. The sun came up, whatever the angle. He was saying the angles with the sun. I have no idea. I am not a scientist, but he was saying something about it. But I swear it was true because it is always hot there. So plan for that. It's going to be sunny. Wear your sunglasses if you bring your gooders, or wear your hat. I always wear a hat. I did get hot, and I had a long sleeve shirt on. I had to take it off for that part because it definitely got hot on the FDR. So once you get off that, then you make your way around. You're going to go past Grand Central Station, which is awesome and new. And Matt will talk about that when what?
You glossed over one of the most second or maybe first epic part of the course.
The what?
Times Square.
I was getting to that. You go through Grand Central first.
Do you? Okay. I thought you...
No, and I was going to say, literally, what I was about to say is, as good as the Brooklyn Bridge is, the best part of this race, spoiler alert...
Times Square.
Times Square. So then when you go, and I might have that backwards, maybe it's Times Square and then, no, it can't be. It's Grand Central Station, then Times Square. It has to be. I don't know. It has to be. When you're running through it, who knows? It all looks the same.
This is also someone who forgot that she ran through Times Square.
Well, yes. So the first time I ran it, besides the fact that I could not find Matt where he was from spectating. So when he starts talking about his spectating, we're going to tell you about what our new plan is for when he comes and spectates a race.
Give you some good advice for spectating.
But from when I was running through, and I knew that we ran through Central Park. Matt had told me that there's only 2 times that they close down Central Park.
This race,
Times Square.
Times Square gets closed 2 times a year to traffic. 1 for this race and 2 for New Year's Eve.
Yep. So it's literally you are the celebration during this time. You are running down a closed street, which is so cool. So I get to the finish. As soon as it's done, he's like, "How was it? How'd it go?" I'm like, "Oh, it was like great, but like we didn't get to run through Times Square." And he's like, "No, you definitely did." And I'm like, "We didn't." And then when
adamant about it.
I was adamant. I was like, sure as anything that we did not run through it. I get my pictures back, and there are pictures of me in Times Square. So Yes, we did. And I will say that was the 2022 one. And my time was at 2:06:45, which was the fastest that I've run that race. So either I was running too fast, I wasn't paying attention, or I was looking for Matt and missing him and just blowing through, was not paying attention really to where I was. Listen, when you're running, there's a lot of tall buildings. You're just running through. You're not really paying attention. Everyone since then, I have now paid attention, and I'm very conscious of where I am and when. And now I stop and I take pictures in Times Square. One of my favorite signs, and there's always a photographer by there, was that the American flag by the NYPD. It just is. It's a great shot. And then if you turn around, you'll see the iconic like ball dropping. That's probably why I missed it the first time, because I was just seeing buildings. But yes, you do run through Times Square. And I will say, like, the Brooklyn Bridge is cool, but running through Times Square is equally as cool. Then you loop around, you go into Central Park, and then you finish in Central Park, which to me is always a nice place to finish a race.
How is the finish line? Because I know, I like a good finish line where you feel the finish line, you hear the crowd, and it kind of like that last quarter of a mile, it pulls you there, and the excitement starts to build, and you feel like that celebrity, and you just coming across.
You're like, you do the hype.
Oh yeah. Some of those races, it's like you can it's hard to explain, but if you know, you just feel that finish line, and you hear the crowd going. You hear that sometimes there's a DJ or whatever, and it just kind of pulls you that last quarter of a mile. It could be a 5K to a marathon, and you just always get a little extra pep there.
Yep. Well, and this one, and there's usually the crowd support is just like the marathon. It is wall to wall people the entire time. The energy when you get into Central Park carries you through. There are so many people there. There are so many people cheering. And then at that point, I guess and again, I'm usually in a later wave, there's a lot of runners with medals. So you're getting excited because now you're seeing more people walking around either with their foil wraps or their medals. And you're like, all right, I'm getting closer, because there's a lot of, runners being, congregating in this area. But you would love this finish line because it is massive. It is just like the marathon. It has the big arches. The photographers are above. The photographers are below. Has a huge, mat. Again, like almost like 4 lanes deep where you're running through and finishing. And again, the crowd at the end, if you are struggling towards the end of a half marathon, they will get you through it.
That's awesome. And remember, stop your watch clearly after the finish line. I think we've all made that mistake at least once. We look at our finish line and you're like this.
Yep.
So
it's worth the little few seconds that you're gonna get off. Just run through, smile for your photos. Marathon Photo does a really great job. They're out on the course. You can pre-buy your photos, which I always tend to do because I always like my photo, not in a conceited way, like my photos, but I like buying my photos.
You take incredible race photos.
Thank you. But some of them are not so great.
I don't believe
so. But I look for them. I try to get this jump shot with like the Brooklyn Bridge behind me last year. It just like didn't work. I point at photographers now and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go up and I'm going to jump. Some of them get what's happening. Some of them don't. Once when I was at a race at Wineglass, they told me to go back and do it again. So I tried it again. I didn't care the way I wasn't running for time. But yeah, so I do like to, you can see, and you save a little bit if you pre-buy them. So if you're someone, and especially if this is your first, you're going to want those photos. You're going to want proof that you ran through Times Square. It's definitely, to me, I think it's worth it. And then if you could save a little money to buy it beforehand is also kind of cool.
All right. Definitely a good tip there. I will say, spectating, this is as large as a race is, it is from a spectating, a really easy and logistical spectating one, because if you don't worry about getting, in Brooklyn or on the FDR. So what I did is, like Sue said, we live on Long Island. I just took the Long Island Railroad, went to Grand Central Station, and the first time I went to Grand Central after the renovation. And if you know about the renovation of Grand Central Station, they put in this, it's going to sound odd, but if you've ever gone and seen it, the escalator.
Yep.
It is a huge escalator. It's a ride in itself, and it's beautiful.
It's awesome.
You come out.
And the LIRR goes straight to Grand Central, which it didn't used to before.
Exactly. So you go right there. You come out of Grand Central Station. You come out at 42nd Street and Park Avenue. You just walk one avenue to 7th Avenue. Just make sure that you're on the west side of 7th Avenue, and you can just see everyone going by. And like Sue said, the first year that she ran it, that I was spectating, because there's so many people, we didn't really communicate as well as we should have.
We picked like a corner.
And I was there, but I think we didn't specify which side of the road I was on. I did not get a hot dog. I should have. It was a pretzel, first of all. And then we missed it. So what we realized is, all right, when you tell the person to run, you say, which side of the street are you going to be on? The runner left or runner right? Making sure, as a spectator, I made sure the next year I wore a very bright shirt. I've seen people have balloons and so forth, and tell them specifically between which two streets. So 44th and 45th. So depending when you get there, it might be really crowded and you can't get it to a certain corner. So they know when they get to the 45th street to start looking to their left and so forth. Also, I know they have all the apps that track the runners. They are good, but they're not so accurate up to the minute because of the lagging GPS of the.
I think the buildings make it like wonky.
Yeah, so you can't trust that to be 100%. You can use it as a gauge on kind of what you're going to expect. So the second time, I was able to catch her, and we,
because you don't know, like if you say, "Oh, be on this corner," if you get there and there's a food truck there, or if you get there and for whatever reason it's closed down for like an access point or something like that. So that's why now we'll pick from one corner to the next corner, and that whole block, you could be anywhere on that block, and just try to get to the front to be able to see your runner.
And it's really inspiring watching. You get there, the energy of the day, the crowd, you just kind of get there and just enjoy it.
It's really fun watching a race.
Sometimes spectating is harder than running a race.
Yeah, depending if you bounce around, especially like for something like this, right? If you were saying like, oh, I'm going to see someone in Brooklyn and then I'm going to jump over and then get to see them in Manhattan. I mean, I know with the marathon, people will do that and go multiple spots. That's something that's more tiring than running the race. Then you just got to wake up and run it.
Yeah. Another thing, another tip is set up a meet location afterwards. Yeah. Don't just say, I'll meet you at the finish line, because this kind of a race, you can't, as a spectator, get to the finish line and see your runner because it's just so crowded. So the first year we kind of said, we'll meet in one location.
When I get out,
And we weren't so specific. And I remember we were trying to call each other. And I'm like, I am here. And I'm like, I'm here too. And it was like.
And sometimes the calls were getting dropped because so many people are using their cell phone.
Yeah.
And the runners, once you cross the finish line, you then walk a little bit. Then you get your medal. Then you walk a little bit more. Then they have like some photos spots like where you can take pictures with your medals. At the marathon photo people will be there to take those photos for you. Then you walk through and you get your runner bag of food, which of course never has any gluten-free food in it except for an apple. And unfortunately I'm also allergic to apples and I'm gluten-free, so I can never eat anything in there, but I have a Gatorade and I have a water. So I take my little bag and then you walk through, then they corral you around to go to where the bag pickup is. and that's all laid out by your runner number. So it's by wave. It's super well organized. You will find your bag in like 3 seconds, but it is a very long walk because it's long. So the person who's waiting for you at the end of all of that, like, you know, you have to, I know they always say for the marathon, it's like a mile, the march, you know, the march of death for the mile, but like this has to be around that. It's pretty big and pretty long to then get out and to get there. And again, then there's sort of multiple spots that you can exit. You know, I feel like we've always gone on this one street, but once I went on this other street and then we went around, and even with some of my friends, we lose it. That picking a spot and a location that you know is not closed down to runners, like a block or two out, let your runner walk out and meet you there. It'll be much easier than trying to get closer and meet closer to the finish line.
Or what you can do is what we did last year, next level.
This was the best.
Is I saw her run, and then I just went, we had all of our friends, we said, all right, we're going to meet at a specific bar in Manhattan. So my job as the unlucky lottery person was to go to the bar and secure a location of the bar so that everyone who finished came down. I was down there fighting people with tables and holding them.
We made friends with those one people that you let share the table because we felt so bad for them.
They wanted to watch the soccer match. It was really cool.
Right, sit with us.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So that was the best part. I was like, all right, I saw her, then I went down.
Yeah. Because it's really cool. It's always held right around St. Patrick's Day. And actually the shirt that I'm wearing, and this one was from 2024, that one was actually held on St. Patrick's Day. That's why it's green. Normally they're blue or some shade of blue, different kinds of blue. This was the first one that I have that's green. And I love this one. This one's actually my favorite one. It's like a great green. It's a great St. Patrick's Day shirt. It was so much fun. It was so much fun being able to run the race on St. Patrick's Day. It was fun being able to then go out afterwards, after the race, to celebrate because there was just a vibe in the city. It was like really cool. And on 2022, when we were the first event back after COVID in the city that they shut it down. And NYPD in that morning when they were like getting us, you know, through security and stuff like that, they were like, you know, we're treating this like the St. Patrick's Day, New Year's Eve, and the marathon all rolled into one because people have not been out for like over a year. You're our first big event. And I will say that year was a wall to wall people. We absolutely were the parade. I love people that always have the signs that says like, worst parade ever. But like that year, we were the best parade because that was the most energy of it. It was like really cool. So it's always a great fun weekend to be in the city and celebrating. So if you are traveling from outside, you know, of the area and coming to New York City, you can stay, you can see the parade, you can, you know, make a whole thing out of it around St. Patrick's Day, which is really cool. Go to St. Patrick's Cathedral, do cool things in the city. It's fun.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So rating time.
Yeah.
All right. So Expo. Out of 5, what would you give the Expo?
So the past Expos are smaller. They're good, but like not a lot of variety of stuff. But I'm hopeful for this year that it's at the Javits Center. So this is going to have a little star that I will update after this year's. But I'm going to still give it a 4. It was still solid enough. I like a good Expo.
Is there ever an Expo you don't like?
Yeah, some are boring. Some don't like have a lot of stuff.
Okay.
I don't know.
Swag out of 5, what would you give it?
So I do like the swag. So you get this cool shirt. We didn't even talk about the medals.
That's my next thing.
Oh, that is your next thing. But so I have some medals, but I do like the shirts. They all fit a little differently sometimes. Like some have stretch in them, some don't. Some were a little bit, you know, like thicker. But I do like the New Balance stuff. They tend to run a little bit more form fitting. So if you don't like the form fitting, like, you know, super skin tight stuff, size up for that. Or they do let you try them on while you're there. So you can, like, you know, pick a different size if you have to.
It's a dry fit, right?
It is a dry fit.
Okay.
So that's really nice too. They're good quality. They're nice. They're just like if you've run the marathon, they're just like the marathon shirts. To me, they tend to run a little bit more tighter than the t-shirts. Like if you run the Bronx 10, I love that shirt. I have the exact same size in the women's cut for both of them. And the long sleeves just tend to be a little bit more snug, I find, but they're really nice. And again, I do like the logo. I just, for whatever reason, I love the way the New York City Half, the United Airlines logo looks. It's just a nice logo. I tend to buy a lot of stuff from it. So for the swag, I mean, again, you're just getting a typical standard shirt. So I'm going to give that a 4 too.
Okay. What about the medals out of 5?
So the medals, you know, some of them are better than others. This one was the 2022 one. I do have the virtual one upstairs too, but I can't take it off the wall because it's like fastened to the wall and I can't unscrew it. But that one was a pretty cool. The virtual one actually was my favorite one that I have.
Way to flex. 4 medals. Nice.
Well, when we hit the virtual, you too could have run the virtual. But this one actually is my favorite. So this one was from 2022 and it does not actually say the year on it, which is funny. Because I think a lot of races stopped for that year putting race years on it, because if they had to use it again or if it wasn't back from COVID, then they could still reuse it. So this one is from 2022, but does not say 2022. Then we have the next two, which this one is the 2024 one. And it has this like kind of little cutout here. I do like the lanyards. It's also really nice. And then this one was the 2025 one, which I also thought was nice, but very similar. So to me, the design, even when we saw it post online, I'm like, oh, it looks like the exact same medal. But they're pretty. I do like this one better than I like this one. But I do like the 2022 one the best out of them. Okay. So in terms of medals, like they're nice, you know, they're not, I don't think there's anything to complain about them. But if you're saying like, oh my God, that's such a great medal. No, I think they've done better medals. But it's solid. Maybe like a 3.5.
Yeah. And I don't think I was looking earlier.
Oh, to see if they released it for this year yet?
I haven't seen the release yet.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen it yet either, yeah. I don't think.
Okay. So logistics.
So logistics, when you're talking about this many runners and this big of a race, logistics are always going to be complicated. There's going to be good and bad about it. But I will say, from the organizational end of corralling that many people in that specific time frame and getting them safely and through and all of that, a 5 out of 5. You're gonna wait online on porta potties. You're gonna wait a little bit of line on a security, the bag check. Sometimes when people are like, you know, you wait a tiny little line for that. But again, if you're there early, none of that matters. And when you're talking about, you know, 28,000 people trying to get through something, you're going to have a little lines. They do a wonderful job of organizing all that, the New York Roadrunners. So I'm going to give them a 5 out of 5 on that.
I think you have to change, like you said, your perspective and your mindset. It's not like a small town half marathon where you can just roll up
15 minutes before, like I like to do.
Listen, we have found some small half marathons where you can just roll up that day, pick up your bib, and within an hour start. And but like you said, 28,000 plus people running it. They do a great job.
But that's part of the experience. That's why you want to do it.
Yeah. Listen, running a small to a big race there's different
vibes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's a good segue to our next one. What's the vibe? What would you rate it?
Amazing. 5 out of 5. Not even a question. It is wall-to-wall people. The energy in the morning is just like a marathon morning. Everyone's excited. You got this big energy. There's so many people around. And again, if you're not from the New York City area, it's so hard to describe how many people are there. But if you've ever run like a world's major or anything like that, it's that kind of energy in the morning. Then once you start running, the crowd support, you can't beat it. It is, you know, New York City comes out. There's spectators everywhere. The vibe is amazing. 5 out of 5.
Okay. Overall, what would you say?
Overall 5 out of 5, you know, and again, I'm not even going to knock the medals. It doesn't even matter. You get to, I promise you, run through Times Square. You love your medals. I do love my medals, but to me, this isn't one of the, like Gasparilla, we love the medals. It was like so cool. Yeah. And then the race was so cool, right? But it's the whole experience of the city, of being able to now run on the Brooklyn Bridge, which is iconic, but running down, and even like FDR is really pretty, even though it gets really hot. It's very pretty. You're running through the city. The energy is there. Times Square is great. I like finishing in Central Park. Central Park is great. It's definitely, that's a 5 out of 5.
I gotta ask, but I think I know the answer for this one. Would you sign up for this race again?
Yes, I would absolutely sign up for that again. I encourage you to sign up for it. I encourage everyone to sign up for it. I'm still trying to convince them to do 4 out of 6. One year we're going to do it. I think at this point now, you just want to keep entering the lotto just to see how long it's going to take.
It's a good ongoing joke.
It is a good ongoing joke at this point. Even some of our run clubs that got bibs, we put your name in and you don't get it. But yeah, I definitely, and again, because we're local, that every year I feel like this is going to be one of the ones. I don't even check the date. I just enter it every year because it doesn't matter. I will work around whatever to make sure, if I get in, I'm running this race because it's great.
Okay. So please remember to like and subscribe. If there's any race out there that you really love and you want us to review it, please let us know. If we haven't run it, we'll probably run it. Doesn't make a difference where it is. We're known to just go to do it.
Yeah, we got to plan some new vacations.
Yeah. We're always looking for new races, different ones. So let us know. Hit us up.
Yeah. Especially, for if you got a good race that is on a bucket list that you're looking to do, let us know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any last words?
No, that's it.
All right.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
This way you'll never miss our next episode.